Good morning, I'm Dan Moyane. Welcome to the third hour of the Thursday edition of Morning News Today. Now, the Constitutional Court will be ruling today on whether a secret ballot should be allowed during voting in a proposed no-confidence motion against President Jacob Zuma in the National Assembly. The opposition UDM says a secret ballot would allow ANC MPs to vote without fear of intimidation. In April this year, the party asked National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete to allow a secret ballot in a motion of no confidence against the president after his controversial cabinet reshuffle in March. Our reporter Karyn Maughan is already outside the Constitutional Court in Johannesburg this morning ahead of that ruling by the Concord. Good morning, Karyn. Well, indeed, it's a big day in terms of that secret ballot voting because it just might change how National Assembly will be working going forward.
Exactly, Dan. And I mean, is this going to be a precedent-setting case? Will the court make a determination that such votes should always be conducted in secret? Fascinating questioning coming out throughout the session in which arguments were made. It finished quite late at night, and certainly the court getting a number of quite profound concessions from counsel for the president and Speaker Baleka Mbete that there was nothing that inherently stopped a secret ballot from being held. But I'm joined by James Self from the DA. James, it's a very tough one to call. I mean, you were obviously watching what happened. Do you have any kind of idea of what the court will do here today?
Well, obviously not. I think the fact that it's taken so long for the judgment to be prepared means that they've had to traverse some very difficult ground, and there's quite possibly going to be some dissenting judgments. But in the end, it would seem to us that the Speaker has discretion and that the Speaker needs to use that discretion. And if there are compelling grounds for a secret ballot, then she should allow that secret ballot to take place.
If you have a situation where the court affirms that she does indeed have a discretion, which she has now actually admitted she does have, and the court leaves it in the hands of the Speaker, what legal options are available to you to kind of force her hand in terms of that if she acknowledges she has that discretion but says this is not an appropriate circumstance to exercise it in?
Well, whoever was asking for a secret ballot would have to advance compelling reasons for it. For example, that people were being threatened or intimidated. But there have already been cases where secret ballots have been held, where money has passed hands, where checkbook politics has become a feature of our politics. And in that sense, it is as dangerous as the floor crossing if it's not properly regulated.
What's so interesting was, of course, that line of questioning that the justices pursued with counsel for the president and the speaker, I think specifically Maruma Morane, about why it was that we had a secret ballot in a general election, and his concession that, it was fear that there would be influence. How important do you think that line of questioning may be in the ultimate determination that this court makes?
Well, it's obviously a factor, but that factor needs to be balanced against the fact that electors in South Africa elect people on a party list, and they expect their representatives to actually represent their points of view. And if they don't, then they feel cheated. And that is why, whatever the outcome of today's vote or of today's decision, the DA will be voting openly for the motion of no confidence en masse.
There was an interesting, I'm sure you're aware that, within your own party's kind of regulations, that if someone openly defies the party line on a particular thing, they will face disciplinary action. And the president saying very much the same thing in his affidavit, and people saying, well, the DA cannot expect ANC members to do what they would not allow their own members to do. I mean, what's your response to that?
Well, the most often quoted case is that of the so-called sub-council 2, the Kraaifontein people. And in fact, no disciplinary action has been taken against them. And the matter is still being held in abeyance, inter alia, to wait for this court case to give its judgment.
Thank you very much. That's James Self, Federal Chair for the DA, just giving his insight into what is going to play out in this court in just about 2 hours' time, Dan. This is a very important ruling. This court will be very mindful of this rhetoric around judicial overreach, the fact that, a number of sort of political critics have said that the court can simply not make the kind of order that the UDM is seeking. But, as I said before, the Justice is getting a number of crucial concessions from counsel for both the Speaker and the President, that there was actually nothing that prohibited a secret ballot in these circumstances, and that indeed Speaker Baleka Mbete does have a discretion to allow such a secret ballot to take place.
Thank you very much, Karyn. There, precedents or not, we'll find out later on when that ruling is presented, delivered in the Constitutional Court. Now